Good morning, middle school. All right. So today is October 25th, and we are meeting in person today. But if you're not able to join, this is awesome that you can stay kind of caught up this way. Today we're going to finish up a little mini series called Trending. Last week was about arguing, and then this week's about words and kind of the power of words. As an English teacher, I'm super excited about it because I think words are powerful. You can do really great things and really terrible things too. So, um, we'll start off with a fact. The majority of our life is built around words, right? Think about how many words you use every day. Some of them are said out loud, like when you're talking to people, you're talking to your friends. Some of them, though, aren't spoken. There's also like things that you text, things that you read in books, things that you see on Instagram or TikTok, whatever it might be. Anything on social media, in the news, anything like that. Words are everywhere. And the thing is, whoops, sorry, let me go to the beginning of this. Trending, there we go. Words help us to connect to other people. Like communication, that's how we connect with others. And what's really cool is that we have a lot of freedom when it comes to how we use our words. For better or for worse, we always have a choice. We can choose to use words whenever we want and however we want. So if we wanted to give a compliment, we could choose really kind words. If we wanted to make someone laugh, we could choose funny words. If we want to make someone mad, we can choose words that we know will upset them. And there's always consequences for the words that we use. And if we call someone a name or tell a dirty joke or make fun of someone who might be different, maybe drop a cuss word, we might get into some trouble or hurt someone's feelings. And at the end of the day, we still have the choice to use those words or not. So we still have that freedom when it comes to our words. And it makes me wonder when I think about how powerful those words are, am I using my freedom in the best way when it comes to my words? Here's why I think this gets really tricky. If we're honest, most of us probably thinking something like, is it that big of a deal? We all understand that there are good words. We understand that there are also bad words. And we know there's certain things that we're not supposed to say. But what we would consider a bad word, someone else might not. Or what they might consider a bad word might not be something we consider a bad word. So really, who's to say whether we should cuss or tell dirty jokes? Is it that big of a deal to yell a name at somebody that we're mad at or sing along with a lyric that might be offensive to somebody else? Like, if I think the words I'm saying are okay, then shouldn't it be fine? Does it really matter what other people think? So this is kind of where it's tricky. But honestly, all of us are struggling with our words in one way or another. There are all kinds of reasons for why we use words the way we do. Maybe we hear our family say them at home, so we repeat them ourselves, or maybe we see a celebrity or someone that we follow. If adults are using those words, why can't we? Maybe we use certain words because we want to fit in, because everyone else is saying them, everyone else is talking that way. Or maybe we're trying to make people laugh and we can just say, oh, I'm kidding at the end. And that should make it okay, right? Maybe we use words and we don't actually know fully what they mean. We say them because we hear them, and if we're honest, we don't really know what we're saying. Or maybe we think it's okay to say certain words because we've heard other Christians say them. So if they can say them, so can I. And what I'd say to all of that is I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not really the words themselves that's the issue. Like, that's not so much the biggest problem. The bigger problem is how we use those words. The way that we use words is what really gives them power. And I want to show you sort of what I mean here. There's a sentence, okay? This is my English teacher coming out. So there's a sentence, I don't think she should get that grade. But let me change the meaning on it. I don't think she should get that grade. See how that sound? You can tell what I mean there. Like, it's not me, it's someone else. Or I don't think she should get that grade. I don't think she should get that grade. I don't think she should get that grade. See how I said the sentence? It's the exact same sentence, but I said it with emphasis on a different word and it completely changed the meaning, right? It's not so much the words themselves, but how we say them. We add tone to them. We add body language to them. There's context to them. So the way that we use our words, that is where the power comes from. overall, we have a lot of power when it comes to our words, both what we are saying and how we are saying it. Like that name that you called your sister or brother last night, maybe it's not that bad of a word, but you knew that that one specifically was really going to hurt her feelings. So you used it on purpose. Or maybe there was a joke about a kid in your class that you thought was okay, but when they got upset about it afterwards, you realized maybe it wasn't. Maybe that cuss word you shouted at the other team, or that song lyric you quoted, or the nickname that you gave to a kid at school didn't seem that bad. But when someone heard you say it or saw you post it, you suddenly felt embarrassed because you realized that words really do have a lot of power. They have the potential to harm or hurt or even offend someone. Knowing our words have power means that we recognize the impact they can have on ourselves and on others. The words that we use can hurt someone else, even if they don't tell you that it hurt their feelings, or even if you don't mean to. Someone could be hurt or offended by what you say. And when you say something without thinking or even meaning it, you're allowing people to have an opinion about who you are. They're forming what they think about you based on the words that they hear you say. So that's kind of a big deal. Our words do have a whole lot of power. And that's why we need to really think about what we're saying. So thankfully, we can find some help on this from the Bible. So we're going to take a look at a book called James. James was written by James, and he was Jesus' brother, actually. So he got a real up close and personal look at the way that Jesus was living his life. So when James wrote about the power of his words, I think we can really trust what he's saying. So this is what he has to say. He says, in the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. Whoa, got a little dramatic there, especially at the end. James is definitely direct and very straightforward. Does not beat around the bush, goes right for it. And right here, everybody has something to say about the words that we say. So in order to really get his point across, James chose some real dramatic language and really harsh words that was going to get people's attention, which worked. Words like fire and wickedness, hell itself, those that catches your attention, makes you listen. And James is clearly very serious about what he's talking about here. So what exactly is his point, right? What he wants us to know is that our words are really, really powerful. And he does that at the beginning. If you think about your tongue, it's a pretty small part of your body, right? It's kind of even weird. It's this little thing, and it's one of the stronger muscles in your body. And so it's really small. But even though it's small, it can still make a huge impact. And that's the comparison he makes to one spark starting a fire. Just like one spark can start a big forest fire, your tongue, as small as it is, can bring a lot of destruction and a lot of devastation. And if any of you've seen on the news, the forest fires that have been happening out in California, they can cause a lot of damage, and it's huge, and they can bring some of the strongest structures down to nothing. And a lot of times that's just with our words, right? Kind of another visual to help you understand it is if you think of a tube of toothpaste, right? In the tube, the toothpaste is totally happy, totally fine, no big deal. It's just waiting to be used to brush our teeth. And when we use it the way it's supposed to be used, we put a little bit on our toothbrush, it's super helpful, keeps us from going to the dentist, it's all good. But if we don't use the toothpaste in the way that it's supposed to be used, and we get all careless with it, and it goes all over our bathroom, and it's all over the sink and the mirror and nasty, it's not helpful to anyone, right? It's a mess we have to clean up. So when we do that, well, let's just try to put it back in the tube. But you can't, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Once it's out, you can't put it back in. It doesn't fix anything, which is really similar to our words, right? Tube of toothpaste, just like our words. When they're spoken correctly, when they're used properly, they have the potential to do a lot of good. But when we don't use them the way they're supposed to be used, it can cause just a huge mess and a lot of anger and frustration and not great things. And there's no way that you can put it back into the tube of toothpaste, right? Once the words leave our mouths, we can't take them back. Yes, we can apologize and we can try to make things better, but those words were still said. And so that's why we have to be less careless with our words. We have to be more careful. We have to really be sure that we're paying attention to the power of our words because they can cause so much damage. So how do we do that? Let's go back one more time for some wisdom from the Bible. In the book of Psalms, this is where you have poetry and prayers and songs written mostly by King David. And there's one in Psalm 141 right here where it says, "Take control of what I say, O Lord, and guard my lips." So if we know our words have power, then we should definitely be asking God to help us, give us the right words to say, help us to control the words that we shouldn't be saying. And I think that prayer can be a great place to start because we know that words can really cause destruction. So praying to God and asking Him to help us with our controlling our words is a great way to start. And again, I'm not asking you to change everything right here and right now, but what we could do is just take a step in paying more attention to what we're saying. So what you can do, first, think about your last words. Look at your last few text messages you've sent, the last few comments on social media, maybe the last few songs you were listening to, the last couple things you've told your friends, and ask yourself, what's the power in these words? Are they bringing destruction or are they bringing life? Are they hurtful or are they helpful? And would I be embarrassed if I showed them to everyone in the room right now? So if you showed it to me, would you feel embarrassed? If the answer to any of that is yes, then you really got to pause. You got to ask God for forgiveness and help. So if you're realizing that the things you're saying aren't very helpful, ask God for forgiveness and help, and just help for guarding your words and being more wise in the way that you speak moving forward. Maybe you even need to ask forgiveness from that person that maybe you said some hurtful words to. Part of paying attention to the power of our words means recognizing when we're using them in hurtful ways. So you can start there. And then last step is to make a change. So how can you better control the words coming from your mouth so you don't leave behind a lot of destruction? Maybe for you that means thinking before you speak. I know for me it helps if I take a minute before I say something, especially if I'm frustrated, just to kind of like count to 10, take a quick break, quick pause before I think or before I speak so I can have a chance to think. Maybe for you that means not saying something you know is wrong, no matter who's around. Sure, you can drop that cuss word when your parents aren't listening, or you can call that girl that name when she's blocked on your Instagram page. But knowing that when you're saying that, like, yes, you have the freedom to say it, but it's causing destruction, it's causing hurt. So taking steps there to make a change and start using words that will build people up instead of tear them down. And maybe start by taking time to pray as David did in that psalm, asking God to guard your mouth and control your words so that the impact will be for good and not for harm. You can ask Him to help you pay attention to the power of your words. And that's something that takes time and practice, and we're constantly getting better at it. It doesn't just happen overnight, which is why we're working together and trying to grow together. So, one of the things I want you to think about, and you do have the questions in the details under this, so you can like process those with your family, or you can journal them if you want. But one thing that you can think of as you finish up this video is, in what ways can I use my words for good? So that's where I'm going to leave you. We are not going to be meeting next week in person, but we do have Bible study this week. So see you on Monday at 7:30. And that'll be on Zoom. And then we will be back in 2 weeks meeting in person. So have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and a great week. Bye, guys.